Late winter is one of the best times for creating einkorn recipes and experimenting because we're inside for more than any other time of the year. This week I've been working on recipe creation, and generally this starts from 1, 2, or 3 similar recipes to the one I'm trying to bring it down to create. For instance, a yellow cake recipe can give me some of the chemistry I need to make a light white cake recipe. The nice part of this process is that rarely any food goes to waste. This week I'm working on a cake recipe for Einkorn tiramisu, perfecting some baked sourdough bread without a Dutch oven, and sourdough pizza made with all-purpose einkorn flour. And yeah, I know it kind of sounds like a lot for one day, but when you make 21 meals a week, it gets put in its place. Each recipe I create has to be done again and again, and I like to know the perfect amount, the right actions and directions were taken multiple times in order to share it with other people and know how to battle any problems that might arise. So my goal, though not always perfect, is I want the ingredients to be easy to get for people who are trying to make it. I want the direction just to be clear, to be repeatable by anyone who is reading them. And yes, I'm not perfect at this, I know, but I hope that people are able to copy my results. And if not, I need to pay more attention to what goes wrong and play detective and see what isn't able to be copied. Measurements, ingredients, even environment and cooking might be a little different than used in the first recipes. This sourdough bread I'm experimenting with is made on a preheated oven baking pan and covered with an oven-proof pot. In my case, it's the top of my iron Dutch oven. I was worried the bottom might get too brown, but it turned out fine. If you do have problems with the bottom burning on your sourdough or just getting too brown, move your oven rack away from the burner element, and you can also lower the temperature just a little. This might help. My problem was just overproofing the dough a little bit in this recipe so that it couldn't rise very much. Otherwise, this recipe worked out great. Now I just need to do it again and again and make sure that I know through and through how to properly bake sourdough bread without a Dutch oven. Tiramisu has long been a goal of mine. I haven't been able to tolerate caffeine and coffee well in the past, and so homemade decaf tiramisu sounds like a great idea. Plus, coming back from Italy in 2006, that just drove my love for the dessert. Now I'm finally trying to figure it out. First, I need soft white cake. Traditionally, tiramisu is made with ladyfingers, which can be kind of hard to find in the store and definitely not with einkorn flour, and a much more rigorous recipe to make anyways. And so I don't want to do that. I want to simplify this recipe in a way that doesn't take away from the flavor and traditional texture. And so all to say, I'm just going to make a white cake, and then I will cut it into slices and dip it into the coffee. And then it will be sandwiched with kind of a mousse-like filling that is pretty common for the tiramisu. Sadly, I was not prepared for this recipe as I should have been. I tried to pour the cream off the top of our raw milk, which didn't work, so it never fluffed up. Big fail. I had meant to get cream and it did not work out, and I just thought this would work and it didn't. So then I had cream cheese, not mascarpone cheese. Yes, there is quite a difference. And the cream cheese still tasted great, but it's still a difference. The flavor was still superb, I would say, but it was not tiramisu as we know tiramisu. And I ended up just freezing it into an icebox style cake, which happened to be really great. But again, I'm going to have to continue to figure this one out. So I'll continue to experiment and perfect this recipe Was it a waste to make a recipe that turned out so far from the original plan? No, not at all. Not only does it give me confidence in the steps next time I make it, but it also, sometimes I find new ideas or recipes during my flops, and the white cake recipe that I figured out here, this one is going to be a good one. I do need to change the measurements on it a little bit because it did not make enough, but the cake itself tasted wonderful and had a very nice light flavor to it. So that was a plus, and I will be so much more confident next time I'm making this tiramisu recipe. No knead pizza dough is amazing. My kids love homemade pizza, and I can't wait to tell you the recipe for this. Making it just brings back memories of my childhood. It's one of those meals that's easy to involve kids in. They can grate the cheese, put on the toppings. This one is kind of a wood-fired style that I'm going for, so it doesn't even take long to bake. I can't wait to share it once I get it perfected, of course. I've let the dough rise throughout the day, and now all I need to do is roll it out and then let it rest. Covered, I can get some of the sausage ready, and I can preheat the oven so it's nice and hot. Last year, I shared a whole wheat einkorn sourdough pizza recipe with you, and I realized I needed to also have an all-purpose flour recipe. I love the bubbles that this pizza's finished crust creates, but I'm still trying to figure out how to get it a little bit more browned, a little bit more of that wood-fired style, so stay tuned. The tiramisu filling is a combo of whipped cream and a whipped egg yolk and sugar combination with mascarpone cheese. As you can see, mine turned out more like frosting instead of that mousse that would come from having the whipped cream in it. I have to be honest and say that I do like the cream cheese in it, even though it wasn't the right flavor for tiramisu. I guess I'm just a cream cheese kind of person. I like cheesecake. And, you know, it's more of an ice cream cake, I'd say, or ice box cake in the finished product that we've made. But, you know, whatever you want to call it, it was still pretty tasty. We'll just have to wait to get the tiramisu to the right consistency that we want it and have it perfected a little bit more. So, do you experiment with recipes? What have you created yourself? I'm curious to hear what you guys have done, especially with einkorn flour or any other ancient grains. And which one of these would you be most excited about? Let me know in the comment box below. And if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, would you please press that button and subscribe, and then you can follow along and stay tuned for the next videos that come out. Thank you guys for hanging out and just coming along as I do some of the work of recipe creation. I hope you guys kind of get into that in your own kitchen too. It's not for every day, that is for sure, but it is fun to make new things and to find new ways to make foods you love. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.